Okay, so moving right along with our bed rotting series that we have going on, I want to talk about one of my personal deconstruction pieces that I have been going through the last few years that has really come up for me during the recovery of this procedure. I think a lot of the collective is currently deconstructing the cult mentality and cult energetics. That has not been my story. I actually fall on the opposite side of the polarity scale with that. And I have been deconstructing my hyper independent lone wolf energy and archetype. And I think both are vital because if you've kind of heard me speak about where I think the collective is and the collapse of the current systems and structures, one of the things that I think is vital for how we move forward is community and community building. I think that is really where the collective is heading and how we are going to get through this. And so it's been really interesting to watch kind of both sides of that coin play out currently. And it's really come up for me because this has been a procedure and a recovery that I have needed help with, and that was something that I have always really, really struggled with, and have been able to advocate what I need and how to get support and how to get my needs met during this time. And I think that that is so applicable, especially with the industry that I'm in, because for me, I couldn't even ask for help for like my basic needs, right? I didn't know how to get support for just like baseline necessities. And so when you're especially talking about that from a sex and intimacy perspective, it becomes so unbelievably challenging. Like if you can't advocate for your basic needs, if you can't advocate for a basic level of support, right, and things that you like literally need to be able to survive, if you have to just go at it all alone and you don't feel worthy of asking for your needs to be met or safe in that, I can promise you there is absolutely no way you are going to be able to advocate for yourself and ask for your desires to be met. That isn't a baseline, right? So if you're really struggling with getting your baseline needs to be met and receiving that support, it's going to become really challenging for you to be able to advocate and receive with desires, with pleasure, right? And in those really intense, what can be really intense and vulnerable spaces of intimacy. And so I think that's really applicable for everybody right now, is starting to deconstruct the lone wolf narrative, the hyper independence. And I think this is really true for women. And I think this is really true for the eldest child, especially if you were parentified as a child, right? It is everybody else's needs come first before mine, right? So everybody else's needs get met before mine, and that's baseline needs, let alone anything on top of that, right? That it's like, well, do you need that, right? And don't get me wrong, I am of the belief set that intimacy, desire, pleasure are all still baseline needs. Like if your body says yes to something, that is still a basic need that needs to be met for you, right? Because we're not going to creep into toxic purity culture here on like, are you asking for too much? Like, no, you get to ask for and receive your desires in this life. So this was really applicable for me, right? When it came to deconstructing my body dysmorphia, food trauma, food anxiety, and disordered eating, right? So like if you can't ask for your needs to be met around literally the baseline of food, like we have to be fed and nourish our bodies in order to survive, right? You can go a lot longer without intimacy, right? Co-regulation and all of that, right? You're not going to be in a state of thriving, right? But you can still survive without those longer than you can without something like food, right? And I remember I would totally go into functional freeze around food and asking for my needs to be met or asking for support or being like, hey, can we like not... Can I receive this? Can you not say this? Can we X, Y, and Z, right? Whatever it is. And so if you're not capable of advocating for yourself with your basic level needs, it is going to be very difficult for you to advocate for yourself in intimacy, in those vulnerable spaces for something that is a desire over a need, right? And that is going to become really challenging, especially as we start to move through what I think is coming next and putting ourselves on the highest and best timeline for ourselves as individuals and for the collective on top of that.